All right, so great to be with everyone this afternoon. So as everyone has probably heard, the new BOSS system is available, really built by Pinnacle to power the future of insurance. And what we're going to show real quick to kick off this is the BOSS CRM, which is really built to enhance every aspect of your client relationships. It's available now for Medicare, life, and ACA, and it's fully integrated with all of the tools that you use and fully compliant, most importantly with SunFire. So here we go. We're going to kick into the BOSS system, and we can see it's very easy to be able to access all your contacts and prospects. And what we have is a very special client here today, Tony Stark. Tony loves insurance. And what we can see for anyone using the BOSS platform here, any of this information that's filled out on this left side is going to actually port over to SunFire when you simply just click this Launch SunFire button. So if you have a book of business in here, if you have any leads or prospects, any of this information, you're not going to have to worry about retyping it. You can see that we have the name, we have the Medicare number, we have the zip code, and that information is going to flow through. Now, after that enrollment is complete, it's going to appear right here in the enrollment section. And eventually, as it becomes active, it will show up in the policies section here as well. And the last piece is all of those drugs and providers and pharmacy data is going to be able to come through as well. So we will kick off the process here by simply clicking the Launch SunFire, and we'll pass this over here to the SunFire team to take us through the whole quote and enrollment process.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You should be seeing my screen now. So when you first come into the SunFire system, and you guys are going to have to use a little bit of your imagination, because in our demo environment, it doesn't work exactly the way that it does in our live environment. But just as John was saying, all that information will port over, and this is going to be the screen that you land on. The first thing that you'll need to do is check this box. You'll see in the live environment that all of the information from your BOSS system, the zip code, the MBI, and the date of birth will all pre-populate here, and you'll simply click lookup. It's going to give a failure for me because, like I said, training versus live environment is a little bit different, but it'll actually bounce back with that A and B effective date, with that LAS status and level, the same that you're used to seeing when you're using a customer lookup feature here. But the really nice part is all of that customer data will have ported right over from BOSS, and it saves you having to do the copy paste. And then more so, of course, it will transition that data back into the BOSS system at the end once you have an enrollment completed, showing what that enrollment is. So like I said, a little bit of imagination here, but we'll pretend that this actually populated all of that customer lookup information that we were talking about. And you know what, I'm going to take 1 second here and actually show you what that is going to look like. Let's see. I have a great graphic for you. I'm a visual person, so we're going to show you exactly what you're going to get to see. I just got to swap out my screen here. Okay, so this is actually what it's going to bounce back with, what you're looking at right here. I'll zoom in a little bit so we can really see it. It'll bounce back with your A and B effective date. It'll bounce back with Medicaid, yes or no, LIS status, and what level of LIS. It'll tell you if they've had any time without Part D, so you'd be aware that they may have a penalty. It'll give you the current plan and their previous plan, and then how many plans they'd had previously in the 12 months before that. That way you know if somebody is potentially a frequent switcher. It'll tell you if they may be eligible for a group Medicare plan, and then it'll also potentially tell you about some special enrollment periods. I want to be really clear that this isn't going to tell you every special enrollment period that they may have, but it will give you an inclination if there are certain things that they may be eligible for, like in this case, release from incarceration. Obviously, you probably don't have a whole lot of clients that have that, but there are a few other SEPs that it'll account for as well, and we're continuing to expand on that over time. What you will see when you continue down, and I'm going to bounce back and forth here just a little bit, I promise I'll try not to make you guys motion sick, but I think it's really helpful to see current state and then obviously the new features that are coming out. So it'll already have this pre-filled because we used this customer lookup, and it'll say which plan that they're currently enrolled in, and that will be entered here. We're going to just skip through that to make it easy. So what you also will see down here in this section is once you start to add a medication, you will get a notification that this will, let's see, let me save this. Okay, so once you start to enter your medications, we're going to bounce back over here just a second and look at this. It'll show you if they are potentially eligible for a C-SNP. So this is a new feature that'll be rolled out by 10/15. There are certain medications that if someone is on that medication, 99% of the time they are eligible for a C-SNP policy. So the system will start to alert you to that as well, and you'll see this little blue box pop up above the medications and say, hey, just so you know, this person may be eligible for a C-SNP and you should ask those questions. The other thing that we're also looking at as part of our customer lookup is this doctor and medication pre-fill. So what I mean by this is when you use that customer lookup feature, if there are medications or providers that are tied to that MBI in the system, so historically entered in SunFire, it'll actually bounce back to you and tell you, hey, we have record of these medications and of these providers. Confirm with your client that these are correct. You obviously can edit, you can make a modification, you can add something, but it just gives you a little bit of, it'll just give you a little bit of an example as to what you can, or it gives you a little bit of a heads up to medications and doctors that they may be utilizing. This will obviously not populate for every person, but we're estimating roughly 35 to 40% of clients, you should get something back. We're hoping to have this live again by 10/15. We tested the medication element of it throughout the month of August. So for those of you who use this system, you may have seen this. And we pulled it down to make a few enhancements, and we're hoping to launch it with both drugs and medications, drugs and doctors for 10/15. So more to come on that in this kind of final sprint for us. We just, from a technology perspective, have everything cleaned up, but did some last minute compliance checks just to make sure that our verbiage is correct and that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's from a compliance perspective. All right, we're going to bounce back over here into Blaze. So as you continue on, you can enter your medications, you can enter your providers. Let's do this. And this is actually fantastic. We are starting to list specialties here, so you'll start to see that as you utilize the SunFire system. I'm picking random names, so we'll see if we can find primary. There we go. If you have doctors that are at more than one location, it'll actually show you all the different locations that they're at. So that way you can confirm this is the right provider. And then when we get onto the plan review page, it'll actually show you which locations they're covered at. This is a nice little tool. You don't have to use this, but it will help your client have a more accurate annual estimated cost. So obviously somebody who rarely goes to the provider versus somebody who frequently goes is going to have different annual estimated costs. So we recommend that you go ahead and ask those questions so that when you're giving them an idea of what it would look like for the year, that'll be fantastic. Give me 1 second, I have to mute my Teams because it seems to continue to interfere. 1 second. There we go. It'll leave me alone now. This will be pre-filled based on, actually, let's add a couple more medications here so you can see what that looks like. Then when we come down here, you can choose pharmacy or mail order. When you use the customer lookup feature, this will actually already be pre-filled. So we'll pretend that they have LAS in level 2. You'll see that there is the option here to toggle over to show 2025 versus 2024. You'll also see up here at the top that you can toggle between plan year 2024 and 2025 as well. Something that this customer lookup feature will show you now that we're getting into AEP is it will show you if someone's being crosswalked. So incredibly helpful that you won't go write them on a plan that they're already being crosswalked into. And that's in our kind of final stages of QA right now. So like I said, you're going to see lots of kind of fun new data points that are going to pass through when you hit 10/15. And some of them you'll see in advance of that as we roll things out. This is an awesome little benefit too. You can click some of these things that they think are relevant to them. So how this plays out is when you're looking at the next page and it shows all the different plans. Let's say you have 3 different plans. They're all roughly the same annual estimated cost. All the meds are covered, doctors are covered. They're just about comparable across the board. Let's say that they chose flexibility to see any provider. You would see that PPO plan that gives them that flexibility on top of an HMO plan that limits that. So it's obviously not going to bump a PPO that's like 3 times the cost up to the top, but it does, if you have plans that are comparable, give you some inclination of which one might be a better fit based on the selections that they've made. So once you do that, we're going to move into our view all plans, and you'll be able to see all the different plans that are available in our area. You can click through into some of these and you can compare a few different plans, and you could email that to them if they like. If you do that, then they would be able to self-enroll if they wanted to choose one of those plans. You'll see that it shows which area, which location this provider is in network at for this specific plan. So this provider is only in network at this address for this specific plan. It will show you these plan links, which are incredibly helpful. This is a new feature. You can click straight into the summary of benefits or the evidence of coverage or the star ratings. For any of the plans that provide us this information in Spanish, you'll see that in here as well. Incredibly useful. You can toggle back and forth between 2024 and 2025 at the top. And in our live environment, it's actually going to show you the current plan that they're on right here at the top so that you can compare it to any other subsequent plans that they might want to consider moving to. When we click over here into special needs, what you will see, and we actually are getting a feedback that it's working correctly. We're very excited. So up here at the top, you'll start to see our Medicaid lookup tool. It has been something in our system for the past 1.5 years or so. It's been down for the past few months due to Change Health and the issues that they were having, but it's back up and running. We've been testing it for the last few days, and we expect it to be live by 10:15. So you would be able to drop in either an MBI or a social in this section. You'll see up here at the top, and it will bounce back to you. We're going to do this again. It'll bounce back to you and tell you what level of Medicaid they have. This is available in 29 states. We're looking, of course, to expand it, but for instance, my home state of Idaho is not super technically advanced, and so that's one that we don't have that information on, but hopefully in the future we can figure out a way to do that. It'll bounce back, tell you Medicaid level, and then it'll actually filter out plans that are not applicable to that Medicaid. So you always can see all plans, but it'll tell you, hey, these plans actually qualify based on their specific level of Medicaid. If you want to look at, we're going to do this, and we're going to go into this X-ray feature. I really like this feature. I think this is a great way to look at a plan. You can sit here and there's the kind of high-level overview that you can scroll through. And then if you kind of bounce over here, you get into the benefit details, which gives you all the nitty-gritty details. And then you can go into drug cost details. This will show you what it looks like in month-by-month basis. I think this is incredibly useful with all the changes to Part D. It takes the guesswork out of it and all of the math out of that for the agent, and it just lets you give a view to your client that's accurate and accounts for all of the different changes in the space. And then this actually breaks down how we got to that annual estimated cost based on the rarely, frequently, occasionally.
It's okay, Corey. It's Friday. We know. We get it.
Thank you. At least I can laugh at myself. It's been a lot of talking this week. So, but yeah, this will break down what those estimated costs are and like where we're getting that, where those calculations are coming from. When you're ready to enroll in a plan, you can go ahead and click this enroll button, and it's going to take you into the enrollment form. Right? We didn't choose a PCP here at the beginning, so I'm going to pick a random PCP. But of course, if they have somebody specific that you're looking for, you can go ahead and search for that. If you're having an issue finding a PCP, I suggest that you go ahead and bounce this out to the 50 miles. It tends to be a little bit more accurate if you search in that regard. That way, if you have somebody who's just right outside of the area that you think that your client thinks that they're in, but they're a town over, you'll go ahead and capture it. Okay, so we'll just choose somebody All right, these are all just some fun things that are carrier by carrier. So some of them do have this. This is actually saying, hey, do you want to share your information? I chose Humana on this example. Do you want to share your information with Humana? If they did, Centerville Pharmacy would actually reach out to them to help them get established with mail order. So pretty fantastic client experience and obviously great from a retention perspective. So you'll notice now that we're in the application, and our application is only 5 pages. Once again, we're going to use our imagination here just a little bit and pretend that our customer lookup feature and that transition from the BOSS system is working, and I'll tell you exactly what this would look like. So you can select this and review these benefits. You do not have to come in here and check every single box. That would be incredibly painful. This is a tool for you if you want to make sure that you've covered everything that you're required to cover. You can come in here and use this resource, but obviously not a requirement. If you know you already covered everything that you need to cover, then you're good to go. Okay, we'll go ahead and click next. You'll see that all the applicant information is filled in. If we would be in the live environment, this phone number would already be filled in from our push from the BOSS system. Same with email if there was one, and same with address. This would already be pre-filled for you. So you can imagine how quickly this would be if you're using that transition from BOSS, and then you're also conversely using that customer lookup. So you want to make sure you're doing both those things, clicking that customer lookup button when you do get into the SunFire platform. All right, we're going to just click through this a little bit quickly because you guys are pretty familiar with what an enrollment form looks like. So we'll click through to the next page. You will see that this MBI actually would already be pre-filled as well. Sorry, every time I click on something else, I think it pauses my screen. Okay, this MBI would actually be pre-filled as well. That would be from the BOSS system plus the customer lookup that you already did. Oops. So you wouldn't actually need to fill any of this in, and because you use that customer lookup, you would already have confirmed that this Medicare number is accurate, and these Part A and B effective dates you would have confirmed that were accurate as well. So that eliminates the issue of wondering whether you entered something right. If you'd use that Medicaid lookup, that Medicaid number would be, this would be selected, and the Medicaid number would already be input here as well. So you can imagine in the live environment how quickly you could scroll through this. You would already know that that was correct. Okay, we're going to go ahead, and the system defaulted to IEP because of the A and B effective dates. We're going to just go ahead and leave that. And we're going to pretend all of these are no. Okay, and we're going to move on. This is just confirming that you did discuss the plan details with them. If they hadn't selected a PCP at a point previously in the enrollment form, they could go ahead and select one now. But obviously, we did already select a PCP. Already a patient, and payment options are here as well. And now we are at the final stage of the enrollment form. So you can imagine when you're using that BOSS system and you're using that customer lookup, how quickly you can power through an enrollment, in addition to the fact that making sure all the details are correct. And at this point in time, we can do a text, email, e-signature. You guys can see my kindergarten scrolling. And we'll go ahead and submit. And then in a second here, I'll kick this back over to John, and he can show you what passes back over into the BOSS system. Like I said, you'll have to use a little bit of your imagination, but I think it's an awesome way of seeing exactly what happens here. So this is completed now. If there is an HRA that is available, I know it's a little bit of a sensitive subject, but if there is an HRA that is available, then you'd be able to complete that. You're also seeing this Centerville Pharmacy authorization. This is, like I said, so that Centerville could actually call out to your client and help them get established in mail order. They're not doing anything other than that. It's pretty fantastic. We'll say that we're going to give permission to contact. You would need to read this to your client, make sure that they're comfortable and this is what they would like to do, but let's say that they do. Great, now it's sent over. And then if you wanted to complete the HRA, you would be prompted to do that as well. Right, so we're not going to wander through all of that. What you will see on the dashboard now is that Tony Stark has been enrolled, he's completed, he's good to go. And I am going to pass this back over to John so he can show you what this looks like on the boss end.
Hey, Corey, were you still going to show the survey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm totally happy to share that. So we
Okay.
can talk through before
And
I
then
pass
if there's
it
any
back.
changes on the Pearl as well.
Yeah, happy. Okay, let's bounce back into the sun. All right, so this is our customer intake. And you know what? Maybe now that we're post, let's see if it's living in our training environment now. Yes, it is. Okay, so when you come into your, this is a new feature, when you come into your Blaze Connect, if you come up here to the top right-hand corner and you click into your profile, you'll see this new customer intake URL. You can copy this and you can share this with any client that you'd like. This link is specific to you, but it can go to any of your clients. And I'm going to show you just in our demo environment here because it's a little bit easier to play around with. You can send that link, and essentially when your client receives it, they're going to receive this. They're going to click on Start Medicare Guide. They're going to enter a name, a birthday, and an email or a phone number. And this is actually going to serve as the permission to contact. And they're going to go ahead and save and continue. It's going to prompt them to enter an address so that they can look at doctors and pharmacies. They'll go ahead and enter any of their providers that they would like to select, and they'll continue. They can enter their medications as well. So they'll start to type in the first few letters and their medications will come up, and they can go ahead and select that and save those medications. It'll prompt them to enter their pharmacy, whether it be a local pharmacy or a mail order. And then right here at the end, it's actually going to walk them straight into a scope of appointment form so they can select whatever plans that they want to talk to you about. They can go ahead and sign this virtually. And then one of two things will happen. They can say, all right, I'm waiting for my agent to call me. They'll take care of me. Or if they want to, they can actually click in and see the local plans and pricing available to them. And if they wanted to self-enroll, obviously 10, 15 or beyond, then they could actually go ahead and select a plan and enroll in that plan, and you as the agent would get credit. So the personalized URL experience will bounce back. Oh, hold on, I don't want to skip too much. So this is what this customer intake experience looks like from an agent perspective. As of 10/10, on your dashboard, you're going to see this intake completed. It'll show you that the intake form has been completed. This functionality is live right now, but we're having a little bit of an issue with this disposition. So in the current state, it's not showing you this on your homepage, but if you had a client that called and said, hey, I completed an intake form, if you searched for that client, it would actually show you that the completion says agent, and that means that it has been completed by your client. So you're able to see it if you look up the client, if you know that the client actually sent it to you. As of 10/10, you'll be able to see it on your actual homepage, and there'll be a notification down here telling you that this client has submitted a intake form. So realize that that is a little bit inconvenient because we are already into October, but we had a little bit of an unanticipated glitch, and so we recognize that that's, like I said, inconvenient, but it'll be there, and you can still see that that intake's been completed if you look up the client specifically. And then if you're in that client record, or if you're on this main page and you click this action button and you go into quote, it'll actually funnel all of that data, the drugs, the doctors, the pharmacy, etc., into your quote so that you can go ahead and get started with all that information already in front of you. So pretty fantastic tool. We're really excited about it. Like I said, and some additional enhancements are coming as of 10/10, which is when you'll see it on your end. But we encourage you to use it, play around with it, and of course, provide feedback to the Pinnacle team so that we can continue to make enhancements on our end. And then the last thing that you did ask me to mention, Rob, is our personalized URL. So if you're in your account, you can click on this. Let's see here. This link is actually specific to you. You can send this out to a client who wants to self-enroll. So if you have somebody that is incredibly independent and they're like, hey, I just want to go do my own enrollment, you can send them this link. It'll prompt them to enter their zip code. We actually recently just made some updates to this site. I think it flows in a much better way. You'll notice it's really similar to the Blaze Sync, which is that customer intake form I just showed you. Let's see. They can enter their providers. They can enter their medications, select mail order or local pharmacy. It'll ask them about their utilization, so it can give them an annual estimated cost. It does, of course, tell them it's not required. And then if they know their current plan, they can go ahead and put that here. If they don't, that's all right. They can skip it. And they can look at all the plans that are available in their area. Now, let's say at this point, they now go, oh my gosh, I actually don't know what plan I want. They can toggle back and forth between 2024, 2025. And if they're not sure what the right fit is, what you'll see is right up here at the top, your information will be listed, and they can click on this, need help, and they can call you. Your phone number obviously will be listed here, and they can give you this personal code. And when you go in on your side, if you click on quote and enroll, and you come up here, we still have our Tony Stark record pulled up here, so give me a second, we'll clear that out. But if you come up here and you drop that personal code into this box, it'll actually pull up all the information that they'd already answered, and you'll see that their doctors and their drugs are here. So if you do have somebody who wants to self-enroll, they can get started, and if they get stuck, they can reach out to you. So pretty fantastic tool. Of course, they can still do a virtual signature. People are like, can I pass it back? Like, you're not gonna necessarily pass it back, but when you help them finish the enrollment form, it'll go back over to them. Like if they're halfway through the enrollment form when they raise their hand and call in help, then you'll be able to jump in and help them there as well. It'll pick up wherever it is that they left off. So if they only get through the beginning part, great. If they get all the way through, awesome. But it will allow you to jump in and help finish that for them. Okay. I know that was a ton of information.
That was fantastic. Yeah, we're all pretty excited about the intake form. I got to tell you, we've been getting a lot of questions here. So let's kick this over to John now that Tony has a application submitted. You good over there, John? I just made you the presenter.
Yep, good to go. And awesome demo, Corey. Really cool stuff. And because of the close relationship between Pinnacle and SunFire, in about 15 to 30 seconds from when you process something in SunFire, you can see we're talking about Tony Stark here, that enrollment actually shows up in BOSS. So this is exactly what Corey just put in there. It's the Humana Gold Plus H1036, HMO from Humana 2024, shows some details, shows the effective date, shows your enrollment code. It brought in some of the additional information so you can see the address. So just in case you didn't have the information in the system yet, because remember before all we had was the birthday now and the email. Now what we've got and the Medicare number is the address came through, the FIPS code came through, which is a numerical code for the county that SunFire uses. And then if you were paying very close attention, the drugs came through, Singulair and Lisinopril, with the exact quantities and dosages and frequency. The providers came through, the 2 providers that were on there, as well as the pharmacy. And so all of that comes through in typically 15 to 30 seconds. And what's beautiful about this is the Pinnacle team has also made it so that when this enrollment turns into a policy and shows up on Book of Business and goes through its different stages, it will actually show up here as well, which is giving you the ability to track all of your enrollments through policies and also through commissions to make sure you're being paid properly on everything that you write. Now, everyone is so excited for that new survey functionality. So if you're using that new survey functionality, there's a couple ways that you can use it. First of all, this button right here, Medicare survey, you can take that link that Corey showed, that's that survey where people are able to put in all of their own drugs, doctors, pharmacy information, and get everything ready. Click this and it'll send a personalized email directly to them with that in there. You could also send the SunFire scope of appointment. So it takes about 3 minutes, and we have an easy video when you first set up BOSS to be able to set these two up so that they're directly interacting with your SunFire account. The last thing about this that is so cool that agents are really loving is once that enrollment has happened, the BOSS system has automation in it to send a thank you message. And when that policy becomes active, send them, or when it becomes approved, send them a message, send your client, your member a message and say, hey, here's that. And you can totally customize those emails to be exactly what you want, to follow up as often as you want, to let them know any questions that you have. We're here every step of the way, for your needs with this policy or any others that you have in the future. So huge thanks to the SunFire team. Such a cool tool, such dedication to making sure that you all as agents have the best possible experience and make this as easy and time-saving as it can be for what's going to be a very busy and very productive AEP for everyone. So Rob, I'll pass it back to you. Happy to emphasize anything else if you'd like, but it's been really fun today.
That's awesome. John, I did have one question that floated your way, and that is about if someone is using a different CRM, what's the process in getting that information moved over into BOSS?
Yeah, great question. So it's very easy to upload your information. We have, actually, if I open up the screen share again real quick, if you have a book of business in another tool, you can come right in here into BOSS, and there is an upload contacts ability. We give you a template, and if you download that template, you can put your information in. Our system then will use artificial intelligence to match that stuff together. Let me see if I can get a file here real quick. That's a good CSV. And it'll help match all of those different rows to the BOSS database. So all that address, that Medicare number, you can choose it if you want, but it should do most of it for you. And then at the bottom, it'll show you an example of what your data looks like, and you click upload. So we've looked to make it very easy. If you want help with that, we also have a whole support team that's able to do this migration for you.
Awesome. Hopefully that answers your question, John. That looked pretty easy. And honestly, we're really excited. We get how difficult AEP can be. The whole point of us really honestly creating this system was to make your lives as quickly and easily possible so that you can facilitate and write business and keep on moving. So I think, John, you guys have been working with us since the beginning. It's been a great partnership. At this point, Corey, I think I've known you now almost as long as I've known people in this office. So, obviously we all have a great working relationship. We're going to continue to keep plugging along and doing whatever we can to get you guys the easy tools, right? And make sure that it's as easy as possible to do this. So far, I have not gotten any crazy questions. Corey, I'm getting a question about possibly showing the X-ray feature again. Would you be able to do that if I kick this back?
Absolutely. So when you are, let me bounce back in here. When you're viewing all plans, I know sometimes they go a little fast, you guys, so I apologize, and I'm always happy to revisit something. If you come up here to the top left-hand corner, you'll see this X-ray button, and this allows you to kind of view these plans a little bit more in depth. So you'll see this is an overview of these benefits, kind of the most common things that people are interested in, and then you can bounce over into benefit details. And then the next tab would be drugs, but I didn't have a drug input. Let me throw something in here really quick, just so that you can see. It'll refresh for me here. All right, now you'll see that there are drug cost details that are listed here as well, and it breaks it down month by month for you. So pretty cool tool. I say, like a former agent, I would start here. It kind of gives you an idea of like estimated cost, etc. And then when you think there's a couple plans that you like want to dive into with your client a little bit more, I would jump over into the X-ray and then use this to deep dive into benefits on whatever plan that you specifically want to discuss. So hopefully that answers your question.
Getting a couple questions about how people get set up with BOSS. BOSS is very easy to get set up. All you need to do is reach out to our sales team, and the sales team will be able to initiate that. Everyone, as long as you're contracted and ready to go with Pinnacle, you get access to it. So it's something we are giving to all of our agents. Let's see, John, how long at this point have we been working on this? It's got to be a year and a half at least, right?
Yeah, it's almost 2 years. Pinnacle team had an incredible vision and heard really what agents needed, and did hundreds of interviews to really understand what did this tool need to do to be as powerful as it possibly could be. And it's been almost 2 years now, and we're very, very excited to have people using it this year and for AEP, and getting great feedback on it so far. So we're grateful for that.
I'm getting some questions about carriers. So in SunFire, you're only going to see carriers you're contracted, certified, and ready to sell for with Pinnacle, whether that's 24, 25. So if you're not seeing them, that means you're either not ready to sell or contracted, or you're not with Pinnacle. So it's not going to show anything that's available outside of Pinnacle. And that's the same thing with BOSS and SunFire. They're as good as your relationship with Pinnacle. The more carriers, the more business, the better those things work. I had a question about how many plans you can compare. Is it 4, Corey?
And compare up to 3 plans here, and then you can email that over to them, or if you just want to look at it, you can look at it that way too. But
okay. So it's 3 for that.
So like, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna show really quick. Once you have the 3 selected, you can hit compare, and it'll show you on your screen, which I think is really convenient, side by side. And then if you want to, of course, you can email that over. You come here, you can email that to your client.
Perfect. Just kind of going through the questions here.
Oh, I just realized I was showing you guys. I was showing you guys that without actually showing you. So one more time. This allows you to compare the 3. If you click on compare, you will see them side by side with all the benefits, which I think, said as a former agent, this is super convenient. And then if you want to send these plans over to them to review, you can email it to them. And then if they want to self-enroll, they can, or of course they can call you back and say, hey, now I'm ready to choose a plan.
That's amazing. A couple more questions. How do we get set up with BOSS, which I'm sure John over there is loving to hear. You just reach out to you just reach out to the sales team. They can give you access to BOSS. It is pretty quick. John, we're getting questions about a calendar feature on the BOSS system.
Yeah, so BOSS system has a couple integrations for automating the scheduling process. So if you want to be able to send out emails and have people automatically schedule, you can do that through the system. It also has a broadcast calendar so that you can send out texts and emails at specific times if you want. So you can do that in an automated fashion, and you can also have a monthly newsletter, and then you can custom broadcast to either your entire list or to only certain individuals there in a very personalized way.
They were asking, is the automation customizable? I know we have some automation in there designed to help, but you can create your own, right, John?
Yep, everything with BOSS is drag and drop. You don't have to write any code. It's all fully customizable to your business the way you want it. You go in, you can change the emails, every component of it. You can change, how often it emails, change the delay. It's going to send from your email inbox, so it's completely personalized to you. It's actually going to show up in your outbox, so it's going to show up there too. It actually sends directly through there. So heavy emphasis on the template out of the box is proven. Like everything that comes from Pinnacle, your clients are going to love it. All you have to do is turn it on. But then if you want to really customize it and add your own flair and branding and everything to it, it is very easy to do that. And there's some easy videos to help you with that.
Yeah, it's one thing I could say. You guys always have some great videos and learning things like that built into the system that are great, that certainly do help when you need it to. And yeah, keep in mind, guys, too, the ready to sell stuff for 25, you're not going to see any of that pop up until 10:15. Thanks, Steph. You'll be able to see them in there for quoting purposes, but it's going to say that you're not ready to sell until 10:15 because we're not writing applications until 10:15. Right now, it's pre-AP. It's set to just do quoting. You cannot do life products, Elena, through SunFire. Who knows? Maybe they'll eventually have that as a capability, but I'm sure they'll keep that under wraps until it pops up, right, Corey?
Yes.
I had a question. Will provider info be accurate, Corey?
Man, someone just, you just threw that one right at me. No, I'm totally kidding. I'm happy to talk about this. I think this was one of the biggest points of contention that we've had in my time here at SunFire, and I've been here almost 3 years, is just frustration with SunFire not matching what's on the carrier site. And we had a huge initiative this year to work with our carriers and say, listen, we want whatever data you're putting on your website to be the same data that we're putting on ours. So make sure the filters match when you populate information on your site versus when you send it to us. And then conversely, what I think was a bigger issue was we were not updating at the same time. So, one of them might update on a Tuesday and we might update on 2 weeks later, right? Or we might update and they might not update their website for another 2 weeks. So we worked really hard with them this year and say, we want to have the same report and then we want to update our site, whatever cadence that you update yours. So we've gone to a much better place. I'm not going to say you're never going to find a discrepancy, but for those of you who've been in the industry as long as I have, provider information, even when you're going straight to the carrier site, I think is such a big struggle because providers change. But I do think that we're in a much better place where our data is matching up with the carriers. And for those of you who don't know, the carriers actually are providing that data to us directly. So it's not like we're wandering around trying to collect information. The carriers are saying, hey, this is our provider network, and they're providing it to us. So if there ever, was a discrepancy or there was an issue, I think it's easy to go back to the carrier and say, hey, you gave us that information via SunFire and you provided it to SunFire. So, but obviously a big important thing for us and has been a huge focal point for us this year. I know it was a long answer to what should be an easy question, but I just feel like some context is really important there.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think that's an easy question because I think that's a question that we get asked all the time because it's one of those things where what happens is people rely on it. And look, I've been doing this for a while now. I always encourage to still just double check the main site, right? The carrier site. And that's really only mainly because that's going to be the closest thing. And sometimes this is how paranoid I am, and I think it's just because I've dealt with CMS so long. I will sometimes take screenshots and save it into the client's profile just to show that when I checked it, it was available that way. So certainly something you can do if you like. It's something I do, but that's mainly because I am a paranoid person when it comes to that stuff. So John, we just had a question. If someone needs help with the integration aspect, who would they go and reach out to? Would they reach out to somebody here in sales or?
Yeah, so first step is talking to your sales director or marketer with the Pinnacle team to make sure that you have access to BOSS. If you have done that and you need support, there is a dedicated support email, which is bosscrm@kaizen.com. So that's BOSSCRM@KIZEN.com. And that's the dedicated support team for the BOSS CRM.
There you go. Look at that. I'm getting thank yous everywhere. I love it. Listen, I appreciate everybody. If you're interested in BOSS, reach out to sales. They will hook you guys up. It's a quick process. Honestly, that is the first time I've seen the CRM connector with SunFire, and with how fast that was, I definitely will be moving my stuff from connector to SunFire. And Corey, I've told you this. I'm lazy. But I think this really gives everybody on the call an opportunity, if you are using connector, to actually switch over and start using the SunFire side. So, look, it was a pleasure having everybody on here. And, everyone have a great AEP, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from me again shortly. So everyone have a great evening, a great weekend, and everyone stay out of trouble. Thanks, John. Thanks, Corey.
Don't forget to subscribe to catch the latest news in insurance and agent training. See you in the next video.